Let's check in with Joseph Lindsley in Ukraine.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, man, that's the one thing that the Russians don't want anyone to hear. Their lies about Kharkiv.
Joe. Little fucking Joe Lindsley.
Joe Lindsley is quickly becoming an American treasure in broadcasting.
Welcome to Ukraine Bank.
A lot of news in Ukraine today. Let's see, 65 Ukrainian POWs killed in a plane crash, a Russian plane, and it's reported that that was headed to a prisoner swap. And then in Kharkiv, Russia carried out more attacks. That's where Joseph Lindsley is. Joe, give us the latest on what's happening there.
Hey, Bob. Good afternoon from Kharkiv. The past, really 24 hours were pretty hellish here. When we spoke yesterday afternoon Kharkiv time, we'd already been through an extremely terrible and eventful morning with attacks at 4 o'clock in the morning and then again between 6 and 8. Usually when Russia has a very intense morning attack like that, you have several days or maybe even some weeks before there's another such attack. Clearly, it seems that during the fall, the Russians were storing up their weapon stockpile. And last night, I was exhausted, as was everyone here in Kharkiv, and I fell asleep before 10 o'clock. And maybe a couple minutes after 10, at first I wasn't sure if it was a dream, but something jolted me, and it was a massive strike, a strike, the likes of which I've rarely heard. I scrambled, as did everyone, to the shelter, in various stages of dress. I didn't have time to put shoes on and run into the shelter. Again, you hear that awful, yet another missile strike and shaking the entire city. And true, just imagine, everyone has already been through sort of a sleepless night the night before, and then you have this happening again. And we got word. I got word of what was happening. It was the three rockets that hit in the center of the city, and how do we do? I'll describe what I saw this morning, and that'll tell the story of what happened. But I already knew some of the places that had been hit. People in the middle of the night, of course, left their homes to go help, to rescue, to do whatever they could. And one of the places that was on the block that was hit was a coffee shop. It's a very cool place. It's a gathering spot. People go there to, they bring their kids there for some pastries, or you go there to talk about strategy and ideas. And it's and excellent, craft coffee, here at the edge of the free world. And their windows were blown out. There was glass everywhere. Their Christmas tree was blown to the other side of the shop, because 1 block away, the Russians destroyed one of the most historic buildings in Kharkiv. It's a university, or part of a university, a beautiful building from the 19th century. And they directly targeted that building and destroyed it. And you can see, there are melted cars that were surrounding the building are completely melted. We're still waiting exact details on, how many more, if there were fatalities and how many. But then there were 2 other places in the city that had the same type of destruction. And so this morning, at 8 o'clock this morning, I went. And by the way, the whole night, after we had all clear at about 11, there were many alarms through the night. And with each, after you hear one of those missile strikes, it puts you on edge, and you can't tell, is this a dream or is this real? And so it was a very sleepless night. And at about 8 o'clock, I went over to this coffee shop, which I had known had been hit, because people that had been in the middle of the night cleaning up the shop sent me videos at 3 o'clock in the morning as they were trying to mitigate some of the damage. And I show up at 8 o'clock, and I just wanted to see what had happened. And amazingly, the shop was open. They were serving coffee. Wow. And the workers had shown up in the middle of the night, and they had prepared some sandwiches and started making coffee to give to rescue workers, to give to people who lost their homes. And then at 8 o'clock, they opened for business for anyone who came in. And I went a couple times today in between checking out all the different wreckage sites. And the second time I went in, they told me my coffee was free, because the people had started this thing of paying it forward. So people would buy a coffee and then buy extra coffees for others who showed up. And in those few hours this morning, I saw so many of people I know from here in Kharkiv. And, the Russians were really pushing this narrative big on social media, especially on X last night, on the former Twitter. They were saying Kharkiv is a city of Russian people. The only people who support Ukraine are NATO mercenaries throughout the city. And I could see if you were far away how you might sort of, just accept that.
Now we got him back. We lost you there for a few seconds, Joe.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, man, that's the one thing that the Russians don't want anyone to hear. Their lies about Kharkiv, as they were pushing on social media last night, Russians and pro-Russians, including some Americans, that Kharkiv is, a nest of NATO mercenaries, and that they were saying that there were Russian people in this city. And there's nothing further from the truth. I mean, as I saw at that coffee shop and on those blocks today of all the rescue workers and people sweeping the debris on the streets, these are the people of Kharkiv, and they refuse to leave. They're not screaming and panicking. There were tears in people's eyes, but a sense of resolve. People were bringing flowers to that coffee shop, and you have, it's really, you see people, like old people sweeping the glass on the streets, younger people going into the wreckage, doing what they can to make sure there's no one, still there, and this incredible sense of solidarity and of not stopping. And it's an amazing thing because these attacks are absolutely terrifying, especially when they happen in such an intense, short period. And I think, you could be forgiven for saying, oh, I need a mental health day. I can't, imagine that you work at a coffee shop and you have some other problem and you need a mental health day. Well, everyone that was working today, this would be a good excuse for a mental health day, and they were there because they know it was very important on a day like this to show up. And I saw so much of that. I saw the people of this city gathering together. But it is a clear sense now that the Russians, because they can't take this city, and because they can't, defeat Ukraine, they want to make this city unlivable and untenable, and perhaps set up a way for some negotiations. And it's very disheartening. And after going through attacks like I have the past couple nights, and knowing that any moment this could happen again, and it probably will, probably who knows, sometime today. I was in that same coffee shop a couple days ago, and I ran into a reporter from which I won't mention the name, but from a very respected American publication. And this was extremely disheartening. And it shows sort of the arrogance of our media and elites. But the reporter was, ordering a fancy coffee and said, it's just too bad. The reporter said this to me because we know each other a little bit, not very well. It's just too bad that the people of Kharkiv don't realize that this is lost, that this city is going to fall. And, this is a reporter whose stories influence policy, influence what people think about the war. And the reporter, these reporters claim to be unbiased. No one ever really is. But that is the governing mentality of someone that's writing some of the most important stories about Ukraine. And they're here in the city, and they don't listen to the people. That reporter surely was not present there today, missing the stories of resilience of people who, no matter what, refuse to leave, refuse to give up, no matter how hellish it is. And I was just talking with people. This is a normal conversation you have. When you go to sleep, you don't know. I mean, no human knows this, but here especially, you don't know if you'll wake up. And especially that. And there is this, and still, people are cheerful. When you're in the shelter, it's the Ukrainians who are smiling and joking. If you're in the shelter with some Brits or Americans, they're very nervous in a way, but they're trying to stay calm, and they're always talking about, they're very loudly, I must cancel my meetings. I guess I have to cancel my meeting in 2 hours, 8 o'clock in the morning. And you see very different personalities and how people react to this. But the Ukrainians do it somehow with some kind of cheerful defiance, even though with tears in their eyes.
It's uplifting to hear those stories about the people in Ukraine. Depressing to hear about that reporter. And nice to hear about that coffee shop actually opening up. But I think you need something a little stronger than coffee today, Joseph.
I will after this.
Yeah. And before I let you go, just quickly, do we know anything more? Have you heard anything more about that Russian military plane that crashed?
No, as always, I'm skeptical of all news and information out of Russia, and zero trust. I don't trust to follow Geneva Conventions or anything. But frankly, I've been so busy in the ruins here that I haven't had time to follow any news outside of Kharkiv today.
Yeah, understandable. I'll let you go, and I hope everything is safe there for you, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
Until tomorrow. I hear
there
you
we
now.
go.
Until tomorrow.
There we go. I was about to say, damn those Russians! They're censoring us again.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Что он сказал?
Well, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?
Come on now. Oh, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?
Ебать.